Yep. Yeah, then go down. Morning, this is Christy. Hi. Delete that email. I resent a new thank you because that was a mistake on my part. So I corrected that. All right. Okay, hold on a second here. No, it's okay. Oh, give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, yes, because you are you just joining as a council member or committee member? You're not on the finance committee, right? So you're just joining using the ID. That's why. That's the difference. Is that if you're not on the committee, you just join as an attendee. So just use the ID, which I can give to you right now if you need it. Okay, then okay, perfect. Thank you. The meeting started, so you should be in. Well, you're an attendee, so it's kind of like you're sitting in a separate room while the meeting's going on, and then we'll let you speak when Aaron calls you to, whatever. Okay, thanks, Andrew. Bye.
I'm like, I'm like, there's all these cars here. I'm thinking I'm late.
No, you're not late. There's just a meeting this morning. I'll share the docs, Dave. It's just easier. They're so simple.
Hey, Christy.
Nice dress.
Good morning. This is what it's like to get in right time.
Hey, Christy.
Right. Morning. Well done.
It'll go even bigger. Full screen. Nice. You're on.
Okay, I guess we gotta lower this a little.
Yep. So you lower it by squeezing. It's just a, it's,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
so,
Yeah, there it's good.
okay.
All right.
We are broadcasting already, so set up the broadcast.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Not my choice.
Aaron likes that, right? She likes the early ones.
I'll be long, I know that. Now you're telling me more reason.
These two will echo each other, so I'm gonna shut doors.
Okay.
Hey, Bill, can you say something? Do we still echo?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you, Aaron.
Perfect. No echo either.
Okay, good.
Thanks for letting me do this.
You have better video on this than you do at home, by the way.
I know, right? It's my
Are you
phone.
on, Dave?
Yeah. Did you call for makeup for this morning's meeting?
No, I did not.
I'll do it. I am.
I thought you'd have Christy in there doing you,
I know, right?
yeah.
No, we have roofers on the roof. So it was like, you know, a lot to get done before they started at like 7 o'clock, 7:30.
Well, you're gonna be ready for your vacation tomorrow.
I am. But my roof is going to have no more moss. We're very sad about that. Green.
Just shout at me as we go.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Jim. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Oh, this is Christy.
I'm well. Hey, I am sorry. I'm running a work meeting. Can I call you back? Okay, I'll give you a call. Thank you. Bye.
There's Jim.
I'm here.
There you are.
Yeah, we can.
I'm gonna try to get to my phone.
Good morning.
My God, Jim, did you get a new computer?
Not yet, this week.
Boy, looks totally different than your earlier Zoom meetings.
How's that?
Clear picture, audio, everything.
Coffee? Oh, he's gone.
He's back.
Well, just in a second before we start, I'm gonna get my coffee.
Here you go.
All right, just wait.
We will. Yeah.
Oh.
So I have 8:01, but we need, let me text Darren real quick and see his ETA for sign on.
8 o'clock in the morning comes earlier than it used to.
Right?
It is.
I'm usually getting in here between 8:30 and 9. I thought, oh my God, it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Boy, Christy was right on the ball,
Yeah.
getting these emails out.
Yeah, Zoom does that automatically for us, which is nice.
Oh,
Makes our life easier.
Perfect time. Thank you.
And I like that I get one an hour before the meeting, just to remind me of that. You know, hey, you were thinking an hour.
Aaron, have you figured out what's wrong with your internet connection?
I'm pretty sure it's the fact that I'm still running on an iPhone 6 and Apple is very diligently like killing my phone.
Oh. Yeah, I hear you.
So I have to go buy a new phone next week because they're killing it in many ways.
Yeah, well, they're gonna start discounting this year's model as they get ready to bring out next year's.
Yes, but I don't think I'm gonna last until the fall.
Uh,
There he is.
Has Darren reached out? Is he having any technical issues? I texted him.
He
'Cause
hasn't
what if I
reached
did one-
out.
oh, there's Christy.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm going to mute myself and give him a call.
Thank you.
Jim, your office looks very professional.
Yeah.
The camera does marvelous things. My desk is a mess.
Where's the dog?
He's outside somewhere.
Oh, run around.
I just got the printer working today after 5 days without a printer.
That's
So I am behind. Yeah.
Hey, Jim, you got muted.
Yeah, I just did it. I was experimenting to see if it mutes both the phone and the tablet. Because I'm hearing an echo.
Oh. Do you have sound running on both your phone and your, did you call in using your computer phone?
I'm showing my age. I got this working. I'm not messing with it.
That's my attitude, Jim.
Oh, good.
It's a miracle. It's working. I'm not gonna touch
Yep.
it.
Aaron, you want me to drive over and grab Darren?
Grab him by the scuff of the neck and shake him a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 8:05, so we're 5 minutes behind. So why don't we get started? And if he is able to join us, maybe something popped up with work or family that he couldn't join us. So
Okay.
if you hear from him, can you let me know? Because I won't be on email
I will.
while we're talking because
I will keep checking.
Okay, this is a meeting of the Chagrin Falls Village Finance Committee. It is 8:05 on Tuesday, June 30th, and we have Mr. Newell from the Finance Committee. Mr. Weibel has not joined us, but may join us later in the meeting. And then from the administration, we have Mayor Tomko, Mr. Jameson, and Mr. Bloom. Joining us from council as an attendee are Mr. Rocky and Ms. Rogoff. There may be someone else from council, but there's just one phone number listed. So, okay, we have a pretty straightforward agenda. We should be done in not a long period of time. So, Dave, can you walk us? So the goal today is we're going to walk through where we're at year to date with COVID and the pandemic response and the economic shutdown and then the slow open. You know, we're doing these regular meetings. Whoa, and my camera slid, sorry. We're doing these regular meetings so that we can keep a handle on where we are financially. Because normally we can pass a budget in March and then the village administration can really just work through that document. But it's become a new form of a living document this year, given the uncertainty. So, Mr. Bloom.
Okay, the first thing we're going to take a quick look at is the 2020 revenue analysis.
And I think we might go into a screen share here.
I think Christy's going to bring that up.
And so that everyone joining us remotely can also see that. There it
There
is.
you go. That's it. Exactly. So you can see we've updated that for June, even though we have one more day here today. I don't think anything will come in. Nothing real surprising. The income tax is obviously way down for May and June. Year to date, we're down about 25% over last year, which is even a little more than Rita had expected, but we should know more. The filing deadline for this year is July 15th instead of April. So we should know much more where we're going to be at the end of the year after the collections of July and August, because that's when everybody will be filing and also paying their quarterly estimates for the first time. The other go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to point out to other people who are trying to wrap their minds around everything, is that normally you see people file their taxes on April 15th, and then May, June, and a little bit of July, we see a bump up from those taxes coming into the village.
Mhm.
And then we go back to sort of our normal, like 200, 300,000 range per month. So this year, I would expect those numbers to come in August, September, and October, correct?
Right, even beginning in July, we should have some maybe
bump in July, you
slightly
think?
higher increase. And
Okay.
then you're right, August, September would be the two big months probably this year. Yeah.
Okay.
Going down the sheet, you can see the local government fund has not really dropped off, at least not yet. It's pretty much in line with where we were last year,
Okay.
which is a good thing. The gasoline tax, same thing. I would have thought it would drop off quicker. It's still, we're actually a little bit ahead of the pace we were at last year.
Why did we have that big 66,000 in March of this year?
Oh, those big numbers in between are when we bill the township for the share.
Oh,
We bill them every 2 or 3 months.
okay.
They collect monthly, we bill them every 2 or 3 months, and they forward that money to us. So you'll see throughout the periods there that we get a big chunk maybe every quarter. Same thing in previous years also. The one in March of this year, that was actually, we fell behind because of the change in personnel here. That was actually 4 or 5 months, so we were catching up there.
Okay.
But we'll be billing them this month now for the last 2 or 3.
We're going to pause real quick. Darren is signing in right now. He had a little family thing to
Okay.
attend to. Sorry, you were on a roll.
No, no problem.
It's the new fun of meetings, isn't it? Zoom. Do any of the council members who are watching as participants have any questions based on what we've talked about so far? If you do, throw it into the chat and I'll try and keep an eye on that so we can answer those
Mhm.
questions.
And I'm monitoring the raise your hand function, which is the best opportunity
Thank you.
for attendees to let me know they'd like to speak.
He said he was signing on, so. Okay, well, let's just keep going, I guess, because I don't want to hold everybody this
Keep
morning
going.
up.
Okay.
I-
The only other 2 items on the sheet are parking meter fees and parking fines, and you can see they've dropped off to almost 0. So
I really like the $12 that we got in parking
yeah,
meter fees.
$12, that's going to be an all-time record, I'm sure. I'm not sure who's still using the meters at all, but I guess a few people are, so.
We solved the parking problem, but not in the way we wanted to.
Not in the good
Exactly.
way, not the good way, Bill.
Yeah, not at
Yeah.
all. So again, the local government fund and the gas tax are a little bit surprisingly, they're at same as last year or even a little bit higher.
Yeah, are these projected numbers or are they actually, like,
These are all actual collections.
how far out is that collection? Like, how many months prior are we seeing on those?
Yeah, like what kind of a lag is there in the distribution?
Yeah.
I don't know. With the local government and the gas tax, I'm not sure. They both come
I'm
from
not
the-
sure what that answer is either, Aaron. I don't know either.
It would sort of be interesting to find out. I mean.
Yeah, they're both state funds, so they're probably a little, little longer lag than say the Rita distribution. or county property tax, which is not on this sheet. But
My
again,
understanding is miles driven, ODOT was saying was down 30–40% earlier in the year. I think that's come back with the, coming of summer and lifting of a lot of restrictions. But the amount of the miles traveled was down a shocking amount.
yeah, so we will just keep an eye on that. Are there any questions on this sheet? Or we can move on to the other ones if you want.
And Darren has joined us. Just so you know.
Sorry, guys, had a little
Hello.
No
snafu
worries.
here, but we're all settled. Sorry about that.
No, I appreciate you doing the spreadsheet so we can see what that breakdown looks like. And then in August, can we plan to pull out the numbers that are coming in from the road tax, or what we affectionately call the road tax?
Mhm.
Dave,
Oh, was that a question? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
in August, can we plan to pull out the numbers from the road tax just so we can see, or maybe even at some point, just so we can make sure we're watching those, what's coming in that's dedicated to that?
Oh, sure. Yep. We'll keep an eye on those.
Okay. Okay, next sheet.
Okay, the general fund. One more, there we go. This in general is all good news for the month. We are, if you look at the bottom line down there in the column 3, we are a little bit ahead of our budget pace, which means, and every department is pretty much at or under budget. And we're also a little bit ahead of our pace from last year, where spending is a little bit down compared to that.
Dave, is this now the time to talk about that county reimbursement of our COVID funds? Or are you going to talk about that later?
No, now would be a good time if you want. Do you want to bring it up or do you want me to?
No, go ahead.
Just so everybody knows, we got from the federal government through the state, through the county, we got about $85,000 in reimbursement for COVID expenditures that we've already made. And what we've already spent shows up in this sheet already. So what we're gonna,
But the refund does not.
the refund does not, correct. This is only on the spending side. The refund, we're just getting today, actually. So we've already spent about 87,000, we calculate, for personnel costs and minor costs like the hand sanitizers, cameras for computers, the Zoom meetings, the whole thing.
Dave, is this a PPP loan?
Which one?
Is this a PPP loan?
No,
This is different. Okay.
For the federal CARES dollars that the federal government passed like late March into early
Right.
April, and then the House the State House sat on it for about 3 weeks.
effectively, Darren, it's a reduction of expense.
Yeah,
Right.
Okay.
So we've already spent the money. What we're going to do is go in, we've got it in a separate fund now because we're required to. And we will back that money out of the general fund and the street fund where we've already spent it.
okay.
So the general fund will show a little bit of a reduction in the month of June, or July, actually, when we
So
go
we're
in.
looking at adjustments to probably the police expenditures to date,
Right, on this page, it was mainly police
parks.
and pretty much just the police and other for the things that we bought. The other funds that will be affected in a good way are the street fund and the utilities,
Right,
because we had personnel costs there that we covered.
that's where it is, okay.
you
Because I
know,
thought there was more than just police personnel.
Either for quarantining or for cutting the hours back. On the general fund, you're right, mainly police.
Okay,
In general, through the month of May, everything is in line, everything's looking good. You'll see 2 lines that are a little bit ahead of the pace. It's because we usually pay a month early, so they have an extra month in there. That would be the ambulance service and the police and fire dispatch. So
right, those
instead
are
of paying,
contractual.
instead of 5 months payments through May, we've got 6. So
Okay,
other than that, everything is pretty much in line. And again, we've cut back on the charges for the working equipment fund. but we just began that in May, so there isn't much of a reflection here yet. That'll show up throughout the year
Okay.
as we don't make those charges. Okay, any questions on that at all, or?
Any questions? Okay.
Okay, and the final one we have today is the, just a general overview of the receipts and expenditures through the month of May. Again, other than the income tax reduction, everything is in line. So our receipts in the general fund mainly and the street fund are lower than they would have been. But everything else is pretty much in line. Our balances on May 31st are very favorable compared to where we project for 12/31. Things will change obviously as we go along, but again, the fund that's most affected by the income tax reduction is the general fund. And we still have a very healthy balance there, and the reserve funds that we've set aside in addition to that, so.
Right.
Just as an aside, we expect to get the bids in for the street fund, for the streets we want to resurface this week. And I'll get something out to you when we get the bids in.
And that's coming out of the street fund.
Correct.
Street fund.
Wait, for the road program, you mean, Bill?
Yeah,
That'll come
No.
out of the capital projects fund.
or capital projects. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Dave. Thank
That's
you.
all right, no problem.
We opened bids for that on July 16th. The road.
Oh, okay. So we'll see
Oh, is
that,
that what it is? It's not this week, Rob?
No, July 16th.
Okay, sorry about that.
we'll see that at our second July meeting then.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, we're still expecting favorable, but we don't know.
Okay.
Okay,
And what was the budgeted amount?
360.
Okay,
We're hoping to get it down around the 300 level, but you never know.
That'd be nice.
okay.
Okay.
Any questions on this sheet at all?
Looks good.
Oh, the only other thing to point out, the water meter replacement line that we put in here just to track it is now complete. So I'll probably take that off in the next month or two. That whole project is now done, so.
Everything.
And,
Good.
more to come later because we're going to run the June bills tomorrow. But so far, it looks like the system's working as we had hoped. So,
Mhm.
I'm very positive about that. And we are going to be sending out the information for the voluntary online and electronic billing and payment. So we're transitioning to that system too. And so everything seems to be working well in that department.
Dave, there's no further cost to that program that you see going forward, replacement
No,
or maintenance?
no,
or anything?
that's it, Darren.
Correct.
Darren, what we are doing, and just so it's on the record and in everybody's mind, we continue to collect that monthly meter fee, and that has to pay the debt that we borrowed to put the meters in. It will yield a little bit more than the cost of paying the loan payment. And that's because we still have a large number of meters that were not at the end of their lives or near the end of their lives and could be converted. So as we go forward, those excess funds that will be building up from collecting that meter fund will go to replace the remaining meters. Every meter that we put in the last year has a fixed 20-year life. And that's the battery life. It's a sealed battery that can't be replaced. So it's going to be an ongoing replacement cycle that frankly, for right now with today's technology, will really never end. You just keep replacing them.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
so that's all I have
I have a
for item
question.
number 1.
Okay.
oh, go ahead, Dave.
Jim, did you have a question on any of these?
Yeah, I interrupted Dave.
Oh, no, I just said I have no more. That's all I have for item number 1 here,
Oh.
unless there are questions.
When we worked on our budget, we passed in March, we were showing a projected balance of 4.197, 4.2 million. And now we're down to 3.7 million. Go ahead, Dave.
I was gonna say, when you're talking about the 4.1 or 4.2, you have to add up all three of the top lines on the general fund. Put the reserve funds back in.
So add 5
Okay.
funds to the 3.7.
So in other words, in column 3, then, if you're gonna compare apples to apples, add the 400,000 and the 135 to the 3.6. And that is your actual
Okay.
general fund balance today. We've broken those out as a reserve fund, but they are really part of the general fund.
Yeah, what the thought is, Jim, is draw down, I mean, first of all, put a tourniquet on expenditures. And then draw down the cash balances to the extent that we have to. And do that before we hit the reserve fund, because, you know, who knows what, you know, the future has. I mean, if we get another outbreak in the fall, if this carries forward to next year, we're going to need to use that that reserve fund, which is why we accumulated it. So, you know, we're trying to be very conservative and not spend a nickel we don't have to.
Well, and that leads up to where I was going. We're seeing about a 20% drop in tax and property tax revenue.
Income
Is that
tax.
pretty accurate?
Income
Income
tax,
tax.
Income tax.
Well, yeah, it's income tax,
right.
but it's in the general fund.
It's divided among the general fund, the street fund, and the capital projects, but yeah, overall.
Oh, right, because part of that goes
Yeah.
to the
Mhm.
capital movements.
Right, it's divided among the three.
It's like what the mayor said, the COVID thing continues as it is now.
Hey, Jim, you're breaking up a little bit. We can't understand you. You sound like a robot.
Yeah. Here now.
Oh, getting worse.
Well,
Jim, we're gonna have a bake sale for you to get a new computer.
Apple's closed.
There we go. Now I can hear you.
No, I think they're opening again.
All right. My only comment is if things change with COVID, we might have to look at some of this stuff. And I've already talked with some of you guys. There isn't much we can cut out of our balance. Does everybody hear me?
We can now.
Okay. So I guess we should maybe have kind of a point on our general fund reserves where we say something needs to be done to see if we can maintain that minimum level.
Jim, we can't hear you.
Hold on. So Jim, what I'm hearing you say is you want us to consider a number on the balance of the general fund that when we hit, we go into a step down of expenditures in a deeper way than we have so far.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the time for that conversation is going to be August, when we know what the July collections are, because that's what the filing date is. You know, I don't think we can do anything before then, because we don't really know, other than what we're doing, of stopping all the expenses that we can.
So that pulls us really nicely into item number 2 on our agenda, the budget process. What I wanted to begin talking about is this very topic. So as we look at 2019 and 2018 income tax collections, we see a 3-month bump up. I mean, more specifically, a 2-month bump up in where we see dollars coming in after filing. Normally that's May and June. So this year we're going to expect that to be August and September. So the plan at this point, and I want your thoughts on it, because nothing's in stone, would be to begin reviewing our capital budget at the first meeting in August. We're just going to talk about it, discuss the projects, give count. Normally we do this in April after we pass the budget, we go back and do capital. So this year we've sort of been in this holding pattern. So my thought would be that we do a review of the whole, what we were looking at for capital first meeting in August. We'll have a better understanding of numbers later in August. And then we can sort of begin to decide what that timeline on decision points need to be.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan, Aaron. Just so everybody knows, we're not spending anything out of the capital budget, anything other than that road program that we've got out to bid, and we haven't made any commitments on that yet, so we don't have the bids. And the East Washington Sewer Program, which is paid for with the EPA loan. But other than that, there's no capital expenditures that I'm aware of.
Well, there was also the columbarium. We were
The
down to,
columbarium, excuse
yeah,
me.
we were down to 8
Yeah.
sites.
Well, that technically,
Going
I put in a little different category because we'll recapture that money, and that wasn't the major one. We deferred converting that storage building into a columbarium because that will be expensive in 6 figures. But we did the little one because you were running out of space, and it'll generate more revenue than it cost.
Well, and ostensibly it was already paid for by the first columbarium that we put in because that was
Correct.
the price to pay for that one and the replacement of it. So theoretically, those dollars had already been put in, but they weren't all
Correct.
into the cemetery fund. So it was
Yeah.
through general.
And we did not get that 319 grant that we applied for open airing that stream. So we're not going to be spending any money on that project this year. And the intention is to reapply. And again, I believe the return on that was 3 or 4 to 1. In other words, it was going to bring in $3 or $4 for every dollar that we spent. But we're not spending any money this year. So I know, Rob, I can't see any capital expenditures other than the 2 I mentioned this year.
Well, there was several items on the capital plan that were carryover from last year that we have spent, a couple of miscellaneous items, but I'll have a full report on that when we get into August. We
Okay.
haven't initiated any of the new projects that are listed on the list. Just
Okay.
the carryover ones from last year. We spent some of that money.
Okay. And I guess looking at 21, the conversation I want to begin to consider is that, I mean, my guess is that we are going to see a reduction in our income possibly in 21 as well for people who were shut down. Maybe they did not have income for months of the pandemic. So I don't think we should expect our 21 numbers to look like 19 and 18. I think the bounce back.
No, I think that's fair, Aaron. I think that's a fair analysis. I mean, there's a lot of the restaurants that, are not open, and not that they contributed a great deal to the income tax, but they contributed. And we've had that Hallmark store close, and that space will be vacant. So, I think the way to plan is the way you're suggesting, with
And then-
21 not being a robust recovery. I don't see any way in the world that we're going to see any type of V-shaped recovery.
Yeah, I would also extrapolate that, like when you look at all the residents in the village and the number of business owners we have, I think that number, becomes questionable.
Right. Well, that was somewhat the logic of tying the village revenue to the income tax is, we got to live within our means like the residents live within their means. And when when the good times are rolling, we can do some things. And when they're not, we have to make cutbacks just like you do in the family. So we'll look at that. I just want to wait till we know where we are in, August and September, and then have that conversation. I hope this COVID situation turns around, but who knows?
Right. And I guess I just want to begin to have those conversations. So as we go into the 21 budget planning phase, that all the department heads are aware that while we normally have passed a budget and it's been pretty easy moving forward, we're going to continue to, my opinion would be that we need to enter 21 with the idea that we're going to move much more slowly. And before we take big steps, we're going to have conversations and take them individually versus go ahead and do, just because it's going to take a while. I think the whole picture of this is just going to take a while to work out.
Yep.
So any other thoughts on the 21 budget process based on all that? Darren?
I agree with you there.
One thing you can remember, we do have to have a budget file with the state by March 31st, always, but it doesn't have to be a complete budget. You can always put things on hold and turn in your budget, but add things later or delete things later.
Okay,
So you're not totally bound by that deadline.
good. Go ahead, Jim. You also had something to add?
No, I think it's an excellent idea. And I agree 100%.
Darren, any budget thoughts?
No, I think it's all a little more complicated than it probably is in a typical year, but the next year will be too, but I'm following.
Cool. Okay, do we have any questions from anyone else who's attending the meeting? Anybody? Okay. Hearing none, I do not have anything else for today, and everyone, I appreciate you joining us very early this morning so we can all begin our days.
No problem.
Okay, so it is 8:27 and seeing no other questions out there, we are adjourned.
Great.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you.